We have done nothing wrong. Activism is not terrorism. Activism is not a crime. We have done nothing wrong. I am innocent. I've been arrested for doing nothing.
Ekonene. So ni another day na another free someone, and this time it's free Boniface Mwangi. And his story is interesting because ukisikia zile charges Boniface Mwangi amekuwa charged for, alafu angalia like the present political climate, unabaki umeshindwa jo ma advisors wa the president wanafikiria nini, and apart from the president like what's the end game with this. So Boni ni mse tumemjua for a very long time, amekuwa ni activist. Au ni mse kuna kuwaga na this even image of when he was protesting on Labor Day and Kibaki was the president. So hata Kibaki alikuwa anajua Boni. And I remember like vile Boni alikuwa manhandled for hiyo, akabaki ametolewa from hiyo proceeding. I think ilikuwa masaid za Nyayo Stadium, Kaskorong. I think ilikuwa Labor Day. So kuna hiyo time. Alafu under Uhuru, Boni of course was a thorn in the flesh. Nakumbuka mse akiwa Citizen akiita Mangina mwizi, akisema that there is nothing that Mangina has ever produced. She's never been known to be this astute businesswoman. So that happened. Then during the Uhuru time, pia akakuwa charged for defamation na Ruto, because I think alikuwa ameita Ruto mwizi or something to that effect. But Ruto ended up dropping the charges. So this guy, we've known this guy. But during all this time, from siku za Kibaki to siku za Uhuru, we never had this guy charged with terrorism. Kusa hizi nasemekana that some of the charges that zinaenda kuputiwa kwake ni stories za terrorism. But it gets even more interesting because of course wife wake ndiye alibaki amepost akiambia watu that umse alikuwa like arrested. So kulikuwa na hizi images ziliona cheki makarao akiwa kwa hao yake, and yes, so na cheki makarao hapo wakiwa kwa hao yake. You can see Boni kwa background, say t-shirt ya black with some reddish nini. Hii camera see as clear as you'd want it to be. And yeah, yuko hapa ini place inaitwa nini? Ini Courage Base if I'm not wrong. Because I've been to Courage Base. Courage Base ukaga hivi kweli jo. But yeah, I think ni Courage Base jo. Memory yangu aga messed up kabisa. But yes, I've been to Courage Base. Yes, this is Courage Base. Damn. Okay. Karibu nipoteze rada. So kuna hiyo image, alafu kuna hapo nje ya Courage Base. This one is a place that I actually know. So hapa nisha kwa hii area. So the reason why nabonga juu ya Courage Base ni because of what was written on the form that was signed by the judge ile time walisema that wanataka kutafuta search warrant. Because hapa Kenya kuwa apparently majaji wanafaa kusign hizi stories za search warrant. So kulikuwa na hii document, ilikuwa the Republic of Kenya in the Chief Magistrate Court of Kenya at Milimani Court, alafu ikakuwa the Republic ikiwa ni DCI, applicant versus Mageuzi Hub respondent, alafu to directors blah blah blah. So where is Mageuzi Hub? Metropolitan Court, Agwings Road, Hurlingham, Nairobi. So hasa walikuwa wanafaa kwenda Hurlingham, wakabaki wameishia Machakos County. Hurlingham iko Nairobi County, walienda Machakos County. Then he order ilikuwa imeandika, whereas it's been proved to me on oath that for the purpose of investigations into the commission of an offense, it's desirable or necessary to conduct such against the premises and or controlled by the respondent. Now therefore, I authorize number blah 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 an investigator attached to DCI headquarters serious crime unit and other police officer by order by this warrant to search and enter the premises and or controlled by the respondent to enable the investigating officer and any other police officer open, search, have access, seize, remove and carry away the respondent's documents, electronic storage devices including servers, computer systems, security safes, money and any containers and all relevant articles, items for the purposes of carrying out investigations on offenses including malicious damage to properties, incitement to violence, arson, robbery with violence, money laundering and related offenses. The electronic gadget seized be subject to forensic examination. Ikakuwa signed on the 17th of July. Let's be serious. Even okay, I don't know. So this new trend na the Kenyan government ni very dangerous because itafanya tuanze kusahau how bad terrorism is. Itafanya tubaki tumesahau Westgate, tusahau Garissa University, tusahau Dusit, tusahau story ya bomb blast. Why? Because as our president, like umsame exist time ya Kibaki, thorn in the flesh, time ya Uhuru, thorn in the flesh. After he went through his ordeal in TZ, I don't even think wase wengi walikuwa nabonga juu ya Boni. Tuko tushaanza kusahau hata stories za Boni, at least for some time. Ile yes tunajua Boni still there, but now you brought him back to the spotlight. You've put yourselves in positions where we have to talk negatively about you, because we know if this guy was a terrorist, Kibaki would have found out. He was a thorn in Kibaki's flesh. If he was a terrorist, Uhuru would have found out. Why is it only that during Ruto is when everyone is a terrorist? It makes it really hard, because kuna wase nimekuwa nikicheki hizo arguments za this guy Nini, it's not, he's not bad, oh people are judging him too harshly, why didn't they judge the other presidents that way? When you keep doing such stuff, like mtu anakuwa too speechless. So say first of all mlikuwa mnafaa kwenda Mageuzi Hub, mkaenda huko masaid za Courage Base, so that was a mistake. On top of that mnamcharge na kitu ile say if there's someone najuaga, and najuaga ni one of those patriots, and that's one of the reasons why say apendagwi na Wakenya wengi, because ama Wakenya kadhaa, and because of the fact that he represents something that a lot of us don't represent. He actually loves Kenya, najua, and he's actually the sort of person who will be out there asking for a better Kenya. So kwa wase wengi, unless you've been paid, there's no reason to fight for Kenya. That's why wasana kwa umse ni bure, umse ni this, umse ni that. So yes, hii ndio story mpya ile imehappen during this weekend, and as this was happening, of course mse kama Itumbi alikuwa busy akipost images za Ruto akiwa kwa farm, and for once nilichekizi images and nikaamua kureact, not cause I needed to, but I just need to understand like what is this whole idea behind kutuonyesha Ruto akiwa kwa farm. So ilikuwa ni a moment on the farm, strolling through the pasture and picking some maize to roast tonight. Then nikaandikia nani, what are these photos supposed to achieve? I'm sure that the watch on his wrist is enough to buy a prime acre of land. So what are we supposed to celebrate? He was on his 1,000 acres land. Alafu get the out of here with that bullshit. And what are we supposed to nini? Hii naweza taka kujua. I know politics inakuwaga about optics and everything, but this guy right now, he's going through a patch where he's very unpopular, and I just don't understand why posting his farm is supposed to make us somehow remember that this guy is a good guy. And as I keep saying, when you're busy, like 1 minute you wanna post farm yako, the next minute watu wameshikwa you are terrorism, and you actually know that mseka Boni, like you can put many charges on him. Even TZ, a country that came up with bullshit plans and whatever bullshit charges, did not even come up with that. And remember, TZ ni country ya ajab kabisa. TZ ni country ya ajab mpaka kuna news fulani ile ilibaki imeenda chini ya maji ile hatu kujua juu yake. At least I remember seeing it and then I didn't see it. But ilikuwa ni Tanzania blocked YouTube and Facebook for almost 3 hours. Na reason wali block Facebook and YouTube ilikuwa cause kuna msee alikuwa na resign from CCM. So since msee alikuwa na resign from CCM, na alikuwa amesema ata do like a press conference, and the press conference would be streamed, they decided to block Facebook and YouTube. That's the level that Tanzania is. That same country had an opportunity to charge Boni na terrorism, but they were like, this charge just can't stick. So I don't know what they're going to do. And at this rate, what another thing they're going to do ni yo, watakuwa kienda 2 places, alafu wanachukua vitu za watu, alafu, because this is another way pia to do stuff. Like you can try and imagine what they did with the BBC4, where they show up, they take all your equipment and claim they're going to investigate. Alafu sasa you end up with no equipment. And these judges just facilitate that. Like frivolous charges. Unajua, like this is the reason why we have to ask the judiciary. Like at some point, you have to look at it and be like, no, you're being misused. And this is one of those situations where the judiciary is being misused. First of all, wameenda huko, alafu mse bado atatikiwa through the process, history ya terrorism, like Okay, so we have that. And his story, sikuwa na plan kuishikanisha na hii story ingine, but I feel like I just have to bring the two stories together. And it's the story of the father and the son, like father, like son. So as you know, Kenya is a very interesting country. And Kenya is interesting in that a president's son launched a Matatu on Friday. And after launching this Matatu, a lot of youths ended up attending this launch. And if you ask, like, why did they attend the launch? One of the reasons that has been there is they're supporting the Matatu culture. And you know my views on the Matatu culture. It's one culture that I credit youth from the 60s for. Najua, because I remember nikiwa mtoi in my 80s. Sasa nikiwa mtoi ile time, sasa sisi sasa ndio tuko less than najua, like a few years old, tukiwa 5, 6, 7. That's the time we started seeing Matatus with speakers and blasting loud music. So that's the youth of the 60s. Then the youth of the 70s made it even better. Now 90s, speakers juu. Then what else did we have? Ikakuwa aje. Okay, maybe hapo nimemake mistake. Nafaa kusema the youth of the 80s. Yes, okay. Hapo nimemake mistake. Kama people born in the 60s. So people born in the 60s came up with Matatus. Then people born in the 70s made it better. People born in 80s inherited that. People born in 90s inherited that. And now people born in the thousands after 2000 are inheriting that. What do I think? I think the culture has to evolve. If this culture has been the same since the 80s, something needs to happen. Najua, we've seen the loud systems. In the 90s, of course, hakukuwa na video. Video ikakuja in the early 2000s. It's been there till now. I don't feel like we need to preserve this culture. Why? Because public transport needs to be something that's done by the government. But let's go back to history, my youth. So, of course, now on Saturday, what happens? Mood, it shall launch you on Friday, and now it's on the streets. And you can see people are curious. Kulikuwa na hii video moja where you can see, you can't even see its number plate because it's playing by different rules. Remember, it's owned by the president's son. I can't see the number plate. So, we jaribu ujinga na matatu yako. Alafu, of course, this is going to flout all traffic rules. Itakuwa go against the traffic. Why? This is nile matatu kiwa na haraka. Hii ndio unapanda. Because be sure, even the police will just be there saluting. And this is the nonsense that happens in this country, where a few people are above the law, then everyone else is not. So, hii matatu ilikuwa kwa streets, people are curious. Okay, I leave that for you. But another interesting debate ended up happening ikikam to hii matatu. And this was a post that had been done by Octopizo. So, hii post ya Octo ndio nilikuwa nataka kupatiana like my 2 cents about it. So, Matatu culture in Kenya has evolved into more than just a means of transport. It's a thriving ecosystem of art, music, design, and entrepreneurship. From graffiti artists and sound engineers to digital content creators, DJs, and custom interior fabricators, the industry is creating real, tangible jobs for thousands of young people. What was once recognized, was once seen as a chaotic and informal, is now being recognized as a hub of street creativity, innovation, and cultural identity. It's important, however, to make clear distinction. While individuals like George Ruto support and appreciate Matatu culture, this doesn't automatically mean the culture endorses the political regime. The enemy is not George, the enemy is bad governance and killer government. Matri culture is a reflection of the people, complex, independent, and often resistant to co-option. Still, it's not encouraging to see young lads. Still, it's encouraging, that is, to see young lads like George Ruto not only in touch with, but also profoundly standing behind a culture that he genuinely understands and loves. His support represents a bridge, not control, and it's a sign of progress when leaders recognize and celebrate raw, authentic expressions of Kenya urban youth. Tuache feelings kidogo na to celebrate culture. Sasa nataka June 25th ichezwe kwa hiyo mat ikifuatwa na no money. Okay. So, this is what I had a problem with that. The Matatu culture does not need saving. The Matatu culture, and kitu moja sana nafaa kujua, kuna sota kwa like, buda subat wokaga na okto. Yes, we can sit down and we can be friends, but we can agree to disagree. So, of course, niko sure pia okto and understand why I might have a different opinion on this. no one is against the matatu culture. Personally, I think it's time for it to die, and the reason why I think it's time for it to die is our roads zinakuwaga very dangerous, and part of that is because of the matatus. Hii matatu nikiangalia, any physics person atakuambia haiko well balanced, it's too long, it's not just this matatu, it's a lot of them. That's why hizo flip over. So kuna kuwaga na hiyo, like there's no control, there's no physics, no center of gravity respected, no nothing. Ekonene. So kwa US unatry kutuma do Kenya, tumia Lemfi. Lemfi number 1 kupatiaga the best exchange rates. Alafu on your first $100 ili unatuma, unabaki umepata $20 cashback. Alafu ukitumia the referral code Ekonene, si wenyewe pia tunapata $20. So unaenda umesupport Ekonene, ndio tukue na better lighting. Cheki jo, saizi si unaona, unzaniona. The last time niliduia day Lemfi, ulikuwa unaniona hivi. Was I this clear? And this is because of the other people who supported vile litumia ile promo code Ekonene ya Lemfi. So baki umechangamka, ingia Lemfi. Alafu saizi pia kitu poa, si lazima ubaki umeload wallet yako, unaweza baki umeshikanisha debit card yako na Lemfi. So kituma do ni instant, ikienda kule inaenda. Alafu kama kawaida pia kuna zero transfer fees, $20 cashback, una support Ekonene. Alafu pia vile musemaga jo, Lemfi international payments for everyone. Ekonene. So kuna hiyo, but the reason why na feel culture inafaa kuwa inamalizwa ni public transport should be handled by the government. Public transport should never be in the hands of individuals. So there's that one aspect when it comes to the matatu culture. When I look at the son of a president, the son of a president should be here launching telling the dad how we need to launch BRT systems, not investing in matatus. And the matatu business pia, for a lot of people, ikuwagi profitable. Inakuwaga only profitable to such characters who don't have to play by the rules. The ones who can double park, drive against traffic, drive on the wrong side of the road, and do all this nonsense. So that's the reason why. But now, why do we have a problem with George Ruto and this culture? It's because of George Ruto's dad. You can never separate the dad from the son. Niko sure kuna hii shit ile, I think hata it's Octo who'd written that, and I'll read that. Akisema tuna need to separate the two. We can't separate the two. This is a young person. Where did he get the money to Nini such a matatu? Hiyo matatu, nilisikia kuna watu wanasema like the amount of money that has been used on it is close to 14 million. Do you know how much 14 million shillings can make you like per year without putting it on the road and in a depreciating asset? So I have a problem with that. Like it's just a rich kid wasting money. This is not a profitable venture. That's one thing. Kayo matatu will cost 14 million. How long is it going to take to break even? But more than that, it's the source of that money is what? We have to ask ourselves. Your dad has been called things like a rap mashamba. He's been accused of grabbing Weston. He's been accused of grabbing Procession Road. He's been accused of... So your dad and corruption are synonymous. But of course, as Kenya, he's not Nini, like it's not a unique case. So we can argue and say all these politicians are corrupt. 99% of them are corrupt. But it still goes back to the fact that at what point are we supposed to say that this man is clean and this is dirty? Because corruption is crime. So using the proceeds of crime, zile tunaona zikiwa kwa streets, tunaziona zikiwa hapo. And it's not in a good way. If he was busy out here launching George Ruto clinics and George Ruto some many hospitals, yes, maybe we'd still talk shit as citizens, but this would be something that's helping us as a society. But having a matatu that's going to drive against, like on the wrong side of the road, going to block cars. Majuzi kulikuwa na one of the videos of hizo matatu moja za hizo ilikuwa blocked kwa barabara because ilikuwa hapo ikidrive on the wrong side. So I don't know. Then nani aliendelea na hii story, but me shida yangu ndio moja. What's the source of this money? What's the source of these 14 million shillings? I'm sure a lot of Kenyans ukiwapatia 14 million shillings, if that's the price that is, they'd look for other businesses. Matatu business would not be the one. Like it's not a business that's, especially ukiangalia, you have to bribe the cops. Sasa nachiki matatu kama hii, they don't have to bribe the cops. So tayari polisi wanachukuaga pesa ngapi from the matatu industry? So tayari this, alafu kuna watu watakuwa like mwafu unashinda kusema what would happen to all these people who are employed by the matatu business. Something would happen if we had an efficient transport system where a lot of people are moving at very efficient speeds. And apart from that, someone has to maintain that BRT system. Someone has to maintain hizo buses that tumeka kwa BRT. There'd be something. We can never look at individual cases and be like, this small part of the population is going to be affected as this huge part benefits, and then look at the demerits of that. But so kulikuwa na hii, I think another thing that Octo alikuwa amesema, bado kistick to history, hiyo part alikuwa anasema I think jokes separate Buddha na nini. Yeye alikuwa ameandika, I'm a rapper, if I got beef with you, that's just between me and you, don't come for my son just cause he shares my name, he's a doctor, not in this rap war. We can't be preaching justice and then turn around and cancel people who ain't even in the ring. Cops kill us daily in these streets. When one of them gets hurt, we still rush to save their life. That's humanity. That's bigger than the system. Let's be real about our fights, demand change, hold the killers in power accountable, and let them don't let your anger make you lose your balance. The government under the leadership of President Ruto has blood on its hands. That's a fact. Anyone giving kill orders against Kenyans needs to step down, period. Stay sharp, stay human. Okay, so a lot of good stuff has been said here, but the reality is you can never separate the son from the father. If the son identifies with the youth, angeshambia buda yake ni aje, these terrorism charges are frivolous, achana nazo. Hizi stories are shoot to kill, achana nazo. Wacha watu wanataka kuprotest, waprotest, wale watu wataenda home, waende home. A lot of people don't want to be anarchists and stay on the streets till when. Watu wengi wanataka tu hiyo, make their voice heard, and then they go home. And this happened like last year, June 18th. Then by June 20th, the police were unleashed on us levels that we've never seen. Tuka lose Rex Masai. Then June 25th started going downhill from that. So we can't separate the father from the son. I know we want to because it looks like Nini, but where is this money coming from? It's coming from the father. How did the father make his money? From selling chicken from Sugoi. I'm yet to eat a Sugoi chicken. I've eaten za Dhokoto, za kunaitwa nani ile? Kuna buda fulani wa Kikuyu alikuwa ananidu chicken. Mogoko farm. Hizo tumezikula hapa manini. So I don't know. It's very hard for me to separate, especially when I look at someone like what's happening to Boni, where Boni is being charged for bullshit charges that Uhuru never tried, Kibaki never tried, and all of a sudden now this guy wants to try. So hapa ndio niko na shida na history. Alafu pia kama tu history kuna another, so I don't know how true this is, but hii ilikuwa ni image fulani nilicheki from Professor. So Professor alikuwa ameandika, Kiserian crowds which had been ferried using bodabodas and buses have eaten Kithure Kindiki's money and left the venture chanting one term. This is Kajiado County in Wamunyoro location. So I don't know how true this is, but yes, kulikuwa na hii image ya raya mingi kabisa, na hizi raya zinatoka pali na Nduthi, alafu zina scream one time. Yeah, so hizi sentiments za one time I think zitaendelea kuhappen, but atukimalizia maybe I think ile kitu tunaweza malizia nayo ni the youth and the youth who are involved kwa hiyo story ya kwenda kwa the launch. I know you'll claim it's just a launch and you'll claim it's just you're just having fun and you're enjoying being young, but you have to understand that George Ruto can call the dad and be like, hi dad, please stop doing this. Please ask your people to cool down. Ask them, like, instead of investing in shoot to kill, why don't we buy tasers? At least let the cops have fun na hizo, but watu wasidedi. Kuna of course tasers are still very dangerous na kuna watu watabaki wameumia, but at least tuta reduce casualties and people will still be afraid. For the dad to unleash the police on us, then for him to launch a Matatu, alafu mna show up hivyo. First of all, why were you that free? Because you're jobless. And why are you jobless? Because the dad has not created any opportunities for you. Apart from that, he's there launching a 14 million business. You wanna launch nini? But umedanganywa wewe ni mtoto, si ndio? So umeingia pale, mambo wewe ni mtoto, so you don't even need to earn. Kuliko na a politician who said that anyone below 24 years afai kuwa na earn money. So you in Britain, wanataka ku change the voting age because watu wanaanza ku earn from 16 years. This is the situation where we have. So if you keep separating these things, I saw I think kama mseka Samuel Otero alikuwa ameandika something that I found to be super interesting. Ili akitry kuonyesha vile kwa ground vitu ni different. And maybe I'm the one who thinks that watu wamechoka na Ruto. But alikuwa ameandika once again Twitter is not a real place. Hii ndio nganya mlikuwa mnachukia huko online. And hii nganya bring the whole Nairobi to a standstill. Yes, people are going to look at the president's car, the president's son's car. And what they forget is, how was that bought? Was it bought from SHA? Nakumbuka majuzi, kuna ubuda, nimekuwa nikibonga juu ya SHA for a very long time. And so Kajwang aliamua pia kubonga juu ya SHA because kuna vile the office of what? Of the Auditor General. Walikuwa na bonga juu like the amount of laws that have been broken. Come to stories za SHA. Don't forget that nikibonga juu ya SHA musemaga kitu moja. Haikuwa inafaa kucost 104 billion at least to upgrade it. So the fact that it cost 104 billion means a lot of money was looted. And all this money that was looted, where did it go to? Ilienda hapi. Hiyo ndio kitu moja ile tunafaa kujiuliza. Hii pesa ilienda hapi. But sisi tuko hapo, tuko busy tukicelebrate matriculonchio. Hii matricule imelonchiwa. Hatujui pesa ilitoka hapi. Tunajua pesa ilitoka kwa Buddha, but somehow now let's separate the father from the son. Okay? We have a problem. And let's wait and see. If what I saw on Friday represents how the average Gen Z is thinking, then sikudanganyi. History mnasema wanta, utashangaa. Because if you can start justifying bullshit and calling it Matatu culture. Matatu culture has been there. Started by kids born in the 60s. Late 50s and 60s. Early 60s. Perfected by youth born in the 70s. Alafu youth in the 80s brought screens. Youth in the 90s perfected it. Now youth in the 2000s are supposed to be somehow save the culture. Which culture are you saving? This culture has been there. It survived Michuki. When Michuki came up with the nonsense that matriz nafaa kutolewa nini zibaki tu na nini ya yellow peke yake. They survived that. Why all of a sudden does the Matatu culture need George Ruto? And why is you as a Gen Z taking your time kuenda kwa some bullshit concert where they're launching a Matatu? You can't blame joblessness on that. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you know what? I'm not serious. But maybe George Ruto si mtoi, but when ni mtoi, iko nene.